Hi, I'm Matthew. Welcome to our 5th class on establishing our roots, which is container gardening. So why should we make container gardens? They allow us to grow food if we have limited space, no yard, or if we're looking for easier access to things like leafy greens and herbs. Well, let's go back to our original class in planning and figure out what kind of container garden we want. Some people like hanging baskets for things like peas and tomatoes. Others like larger containers to be able to have tomatoes and leafy greens by their back door, by their kitchen. And other people want to have easier access that might be more like waist high, especially if you're handicapped or elderly. Let's go to our local garden center and figure out what's the perfect container for our backyard garden. Today we're going to be working with a relatively small container, so I would suggest using Maxfield potting soil. The rule of thumb is if your container is going to be 10 gallons or more and be used in an outdoor environment, you can also use Maxfield's planting mix as an alternative, which will need to be watered less during the hot summer months. Now let's get our tools together. Today we will need our container, some gloves that are optional, a trowel, watering can, seeds and seedlings, and don't forget Maxfield's potting soil. First thing we need to do is make sure that there's proper drainage. If we look at the bottom of our container, we can either use the drainage that's already there, or if you would like, you can add your own holes. It's important to have proper drainage at the bottom of any container garden or container. This will not only allow for us to manage excess water, but it will also flush out any salts. Now that we have proper drainage in our container, it's time to fill it to the appropriate depth with Maxfield's potting soil. At this point, it's a good time to plan for your potential container garden. Right now, I'd like to lay my seeds and seedlings in the proper place to make sure that I know where everything's going to lay out. Once I have made a decision on how the design of the container will look, I remove all seeds and seedlings and start planting one at a time. First here, I'll start with the seedling. I will take it by the smaller transplant container and I'll start pushing on its sides. This will loosen the roots from the wall. As I turn it over, I will try to remove the seedling container. At this point, we need to crack the roots. Grab the base of the root ball and separate in opposite directions. It'll look as if the plant has 4 different tails. At this point, let's move away some soil in the container and plant to the appropriate depth. It's always important to make sure all the roots are under the surface of the container's top level and that we don't actually see much of the original soil that the transplant was growing in. It's good at this time to gently push down on the seedling and the soil surrounded, and you may add some more Maxfield's planting soil this time if need be. Now let's move on to seeds. Every seed has a different depth, so it's always good to read the back of each seedling packet to figure out what's the best way to plant each seed. Our first variety here, wheatgrass, likes to be planted at a depth of about 1/8 of an inch with about 1/4 of an inch between each seed. Instead of pushing the seed down here, I actually add a little extra Maxfield's potting soil on the top at the end to make sure that the seed is at its proper depth. Here, when we're planting our rosemary, it says it's best to plant a bundle of 5 seeds on the surface. As you'll see, I will push down a little bit of a dent and added the 5 seeds, leaving them all on the surface. Now I'm going to go in and add the other 2 seedlings into our pot and make sure everything looks like it's in their right position. You can go back through with a little extra Maxfield's potting soil to fill in any open spaces and level out the surface of the container garden. Please note, this is a great time to make sure that the container is not overfilled. For since when we be watering, we want to give it an area to pool and make sure no excess potting soil falls out the top. Once we have all of our seeds and seedlings in the right place and have the proper level of potting soil, it's time to water them in thoroughly. At this point, you can add trellises and vertical stakes to make sure that your plants are set in the right position for a whole season of growing. Well, congratulations! Yet again, you've become a part of the Maxfield movement and started growing your own food. Please go to our YouTube channel to see more videos on various lessons and classes, including transplanting into raised beds, sowing your own seeds into the ground or raised bed, and also maintenance of seedlings. Like always, we want to hear your comments. How is your container garden doing? What are you growing in your container garden? Please leave comments on our Facebook or Twitter page. And like always, follow our newsletter at www.maxfieldsorganics.com. This is Matthew Celesta. Until next time, see you later.